Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gen X to Z. I'm your host, Migs, and this is my dad, Phil.
Yes, I am Phil, and yes, you're Migs.
Yeah, okay. All right, so today we're going to be verging onto a bit more straightforward this time, and so we're going to be talking about, a small genre in anime that you might not recognize as the mecha genre. Isn't that right?
Oh, yes, I do recognize it because he was probably the most popular one and growing up, especially late 70s, early 80s. Right at the beginning, I remember I was really young, so we're talking primary school.
Oh, damn.
Actually, no, maybe even nursery.
It is interesting to see, not just like the climate of how anime was like back then, but also in terms of like what the genre was like the most dominant back then as well. And obviously, when you compare what the dominant genre of anime is like compared to back then, it's a completely different margin. Obviously, not today you have some genres like the shonen category or the isekai, but back then it was all about the mechas.
Yes, it was. It was, and there were multiple mechas, and some of them is not clear to me because there were so many that now it became all mashed up in my head.
It's ironic because that's the same thing is still happening today, but with the isekai genre.
Oh, right.
Do you know what isekai is?
No.
It's basically a Japanese term for another world, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you mean the parallel universe?
Yeah, essentially, it's all about a guy you gets transported into a fantasy world, and where it's actually I would want to explain it to you, but then
we will do an episode about that, I guess.
I'll explain. Yeah, I guess.
Actually, it's quite funny what you're telling me right now because many plots, on this period, like in the 70s, 80s, have actually something similar but opposite. So it is not humans going into another universe, but it's actually aliens being between humans. So either in the mecha or even...
Can you give me an example of one, actually? Because I'm not sure of... like a name...
Well, I remember, for example, there was one that is not a mecha, but it's actually quite a bit of a comedy. It's called Lamu. The girl with the tiger ears and the blue hair, whatever is.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Do they have ecchi elements? Like ecchi, like in like a fan service?
No, she has like a tiger bra, tiger pants.
Oh, you mean is it? Oh, I believe that's called Urusei Yatsura in Japanese.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely a harem.
Yeah. Oh, there is another one that is not a mecha. I don't know in which category it will go. Is Babil Junior? She is an alien as well. So and now what you're saying that basically there are humans going into another.
We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about giant robots.
Yes, but even these giant robots, they're all fighting aliens.
Well, yeah, no, I believe. Here's the thing. So what's interesting about this mecha period is that they used to, and back then, during the late 70s to early 80s, there's this era called the super robot genre, which is essentially, like you say, you got giant robots fighting against aliens. But it wasn't until Gundam came around where it was more focused, like a more grounded take, where you have giant robots facing other giant robots, like an intergalactic war, essentially. And I think that's where we got the name, mecha, because it's all about just mechs and nothing else.
Yeah, but even Goldrake or Mazinger, they were fighting other robots, and there's where we get a bit confused because we're going back listening to I prepared today listening to the opening themes. Yeah, obviously in Italian, yes, because I need to keep real with what it was my experience. Okay. Yeah, and even in the opening titles, Mazinger, and as well at the same time it was Goldrake. They're fighting against an alien entity called Vega. Yeah, so I was getting a bit messy in the explanation I was doing, but yes. So Mazinger, and Goldrake, they are not the same mecha. Okay, we go Mazinger and then Mazinger, the Grey Mazinger, or and Mazinger Zeta or Mazinger Z.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that will make sense. But Goldrake has nothing to do with it. Still, the baddies, they're both for Voltron. Oh no, sorry, from Vega. Is that why? They are nothing to do. There are two separate stories, two separate.
I mean, that's what they call a crossover, isn't it? Doesn't it?
Well, I will say the crossover it is between the Grey Mazinger, or Il Grande Mazinga, and Mazinga Zeta or Mazinga Z. Yeah. So that's a crossover. Yeah.
Okay.
But the other one, they're two separate things.
I mean, like, okay, I wouldn't want to like hit the nail in the coffin or anything, but you do realize that there are like many other franchises that even like outside of Japan that has relatively nothing to do with each other. Yet people like the higher ups would decide like, yeah, let's just cross them over. Like, I mean, oh god, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, what's the most absurd crossover have you
talking about anything
in general,
even in films,
like in general?
Well, any of the Tarantino films that have crossovers.
Wait, does that count though?
Well, okay, they're not completely crossover, but they are a small cameo crossover, like for example, the Green Apple cigarette.
Okay, but like that's kind of okay, but like
they're inside the same universe.
Okay, but like thematically it makes sense. But I'm talking about like different franchises that, let's say, have nothing, like don't have anything in common with each other. Like that's just.
Well, I'm gonna think about it, but on the top of my head right now, on the spot, no, I haven't got anything.
Yeah, no, me neither. Well, in any case, so moving on from like the Mazinger franchise, is that right? Yeah. So I would say, what do you think is like, when you watched it, right? And what?
I remember watching it as a child. Yeah. So we have. I will split it in two main. Categories, okay. The mecha, where you have the main human, there is a hero, okay. It's important to point out, none of these robots have artificial intelligence, or they have their own capacity to think.
I mean,
they are a machine and they're always controlled by a human.
I mean, that's kind of the main gist of mecha in general. Like, it's still like an ongoing thing to this day, really.
Exactly. Yes. Even when they became like a film, like Pacific Reef.
Well, the Pacific Rim. God, like, it's kind of, now that you say that, I would say that, Pacific Rim is, out of all, like, the movies I've seen by Guillermo del Toro, I think that's obviously the most anime inspired.
Because the story is complete.
I mean, it's literally just like a live-action anime, essentially. Exactly. I mean, and it's freaking awesome, and I'm gonna lie.
Actually the first one, the second one.
I mean, nobody likes it, Okay, but in any case, it really is interesting, like, to talk about, like, the many different aspects of what makes the mecha genre, resonate with so many people back in the day. And it's kind of, and I find it kind of sad that nowadays, like barely anyone likes to talk about them, mostly because, like, like I said, they are most other genres of anime that are more dominant compared to mecha, which is gone quiet over the.
Well, but remember, like in anything, like in fashion, in design, in music, everything goes around in circles. So eventually, they're probably coming back into fashion.
I mean, who knows? Really?
Who knows? Yeah. But going back to what I was saying before, the two big differences we have are general in the mecha, where the human controlled the machine in a more traditional way, with levers and buttons, so Goldrake, Mazinger, the Grey Mazinger.
All mechas have that.
Yes, no, all mecha, no, because then you go to Jig, Jig robot. It's not. It is not clear what it is, but basically he jump on the air, he closes himself into like a fetus position, and then he became the head. So it is like an integral part of it.
Oh, you know what that reminds me of? Okay, so there's this anime that I watched, like I think it was a couple of years ago. It's called it's a modern one. It's called SSSS.Gridman. So it's essentially it is like it is the concept of what you just mentioned earlier. It is pretty similar. Like it's more like a boy, joining forces with like a super robot, and then so when he has like a some sort of like a bracelet that he uses to activate, and once he activates it, he transforms into the image of the super robot.
Right.
Yeah, and to fight like, let's say, like a kaiju, for example, and honestly, like, yeah, when you say that, it really does like go to an extent of how like the influence of mecha and anime in general has like gone beyond like decades past, even while it's quiet now in its quiet era. Yeah.
There was also another one that I remember, is probably not that famous, but it was called Gordian. Okay, Gordian. I have no idea what it's Japanese or whatever, but it was like a cross between a exoskeleton and a Matryoshka doll. So basically, it was getting inside this metal suit entirely, so it was wrapping around his arms and his legs and his body like a exoskeleton. But then at this point it was just slightly larger than a human, but then the exoskeleton went inside another robot, and then once more, so there were like three suits, one inside the other. And the human being was like in between.
That's a whole lot of layers.
Yes. So, but that was quite interesting, because basically, if you lose a limb, you really lose a limb.
I mean, yeah. I mean, again, so I think that's kind of goes again, like you're not talking about like strictly like a mecha anime. You're talking about like the super robots, like mecha style. Yeah, and I mean, the comparisons between, like, I feel like most people in the anime community nowadays, like they tend to have a difficult time trying to differentiate between these two types of categories, whether like with it's more like supernatural, like kind of like mecha, and the more straightforward kind. But most people tend to affiliate like the more straightforward, because obviously like
I will say that the only one that, as you say, supernatural, it will be Jig. Yeah. Because basically there is a transformation. There is not a human being in a flying saucer or a flying machine that then insert himself in the head of the robot. That's basically what happening with Mazinger, with I Goldrake. That's what it is. So it's basically, it's actually quite funny, because it's quite symbolic. The human is the brains of it, and it goes straight in the head.
Okay. I just want to talk about, so there's this anime, like it's this one mecha anime that I know for a fact that you've heard of, but you've never watched, because it's a very it's pretty much one of the most influential anime ever conceived, and it's called Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh yes, I have heard of it, and I probably saw some episode, but no more than that.
Really? Okay, yeah, because to me it is interesting, and how it dilutes like the mechanics of, or I guess like the conventions of the differences between what a super robot and a mecha robot is, because the way it mostly just like it's. Like the whole thing is, it's less to do with like the robot itself, and more to do with like the character, and how the main protagonist is like is basically like a young teenage boy who has to essentially like being forced into fighting against like an alien like beings under the guise of his own father, who essentially commands like an elite force that that is in charge of like these said mechs, because they are the only ones that can prevent the alien-like beings called angels to destroy essentially destroy the earth, and the more you get into it, the more you realize just how like deep it gets, like not just in terms of like how the narrative tends to get, but also how like the inner psychosis of the characters.
It's quite interesting what you are describing, because it shows how human being, doesn't matter where they come from or the culture that they have, that we have this instinct to protect what is ours. in the anime, there is such a deep culturally creation Japanese. Yeah, Japan is the one defending the world from the attack of the universe. Yeah. In the Hollywood, is always America.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, I wouldn't like, debate on the fact that, yeah, not like essentially whenever you always have like, like a country that makes a production, like let's say Doctor Who, like it's always like, set in the UK and how like, oh God, the entire galactic space force is going to attack the one country where the production is made from.
Yeah, but that's the way it is, and that's what I was saying. It doesn't matter the culture that you have. Look, we're once again moving out of the core of the subject of our conversation.
Oh, it's fine.
We're going really quick on this subject. Instinct of the basic instincts of including the protection, they are still extremely deep radicated in the human being. Doesn't matter if the last 15,000 years there has been an evolution or cultural evolution. The basic instinct of the human being is still there. And it shows every time. So is a symbolism of defending what is ours, defending our home, our property, and then to a major scale because it goes into galactic scale.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Okay, that's what I really like about Evangelion, because it kind of like calls that into question of what it means to like like protecting the world and whatnot, especially when you're you under the deep down you carry like a lot of a traumatic weight underneath your own personality, and it makes you question whether the world is even saving to begin with.
Yeah, does it need saving, or actually the most important thing will be, is the world that needs saving, or the control by the human over it that needs to be saved?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much like, I think that's like the main like narrative or the main themes of Evangelion as a whole. Well, not like exactly, but like there's a whole lot of layers that covers the whole like narrative of Evangelion as a whole, which is why, again, I recommend you watch it, even though it's even though it's widely considered to be one of the most influential anime ever made, it's also not one of the most beloved. Like, it can get really confusing the more you get into it, but I still recommend you watch it nonetheless.
You need to start it on Saturday morning to watch it.
Yeah, said basically. So anyway, moving on to something else. Gundam.
Okay, Gundam. For some reason, I remember really, really little of it. It's just a name that gets radicated in your head, Gundam, and you remember, and there is so many details and cultural reference, but I don't remember any of the story.
Well, I mean, yeah, because like considering the sheer magnitude of a popularity it has, like even today, like it still cultivates on a national level of how even like when you go to an extent like, let's say like Gonplas, for example, where you basically you buy like kits of where you can build together a Gonpla. I've done that a couple of times already.
Oh yeah, like what? Like building aeroplane models or cars or soldiers.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's the equivalent of that, basically. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of wild to me that the most popular the one that pretty much equates the typical conventions of what a mecha genre can be. Like instead of like I said, fighting against enemies, you fight humans, and again I get why, because it's all about there's always like a center of like inner conflicts within what the other sides of the forces are going up against. And to me, Gundam to me is like, well, I haven't seen everything. Because obviously there's way too many series to take note of, but yeah, I mean, Mobile Suit Gundam to me in general is like it's one of these like franchises that while they're not necessarily like they're not necessarily like like sort of an equation of like a stuff that you really need to watch before you die, for instance. But then again, they still do serve like a cultural like purpose in like not just anime, but like in the entire like cultural significance of Japan.
Okay, what do you think of the cameo, the cultural reference of Gundam in Ready Player One?
I mean, it was just there as a cameo, like that. That's it. Like that's all I can. I mean, I can get like essentially Ready Player One is just one big amalgamations of geek of like nerd references everywhere, and the moment and. When I saw the movie, like you and me were there, and honestly, I just kind of think it was just like a mess, like just some mishmash of everything together, like
the final battle, yeah, that was all the point. Every existing cultural reference they fought together,
like IP, every existing IP that has like made like a mainstream appeal, but yeah, just appears
the bad,
but like
and the bad corporation.
Damn, yeah, but like anyway, yeah, it like overall, I just think it's kind of like Ready Player One. I mean,
I
but
actually enjoyed watching.
Really?
I like multiple watch of that one.
You actually rewatched it?
Yeah, many times.
I know. Okay.
I don't know why, but I think it's nice.
All right. Well,
sometimes, yes. Okay. And you young people in the audience don't know that because you just use Netflix. But in the past, we used to buy DVDs or Blu-rays and DVDs, and before that, VHS. So
I'm pretty sure. Even I know what a DVD is.
Exactly. So, but anyway, I remember of all of the DVDs that I bought in the past, before that the VHS.
Yeah.
You buy the big films, you buy the blockbuster, and you buy some cheesy shit. And when you don't know what to watch, you always go back to the stupid ones or the really easy one.
I mean, yeah, no, like there's just comfort. They're like
exactly. It's like comfort food, watching.
Or junk food is more accurate.
It's just exactly junk watching. But okay, I will not say that Ready Player One is junk, but it is something that is entertaining and to rewatch. And
most people will consider it to be junk food.
Oh, it's okay. It is my guilty pleasure, so who cares?
Okay, well. Anyways, moving on. So I think we're still talking about Gundam, right? So
you are talking about Gundam. Just listening.
Okay. All right. Well, in any case, so obviously, like I said, the Gundam series is still going on to this day, and right now there's another one that's coming out, I believe, this year, and it's actually being made by the same guy that directed Evangelion.
Oh, right.
So yeah, so it's going to be a really interesting take. I mean, on how like it's going to tackle like the normal conventions of what like the Gundam like franchise is essentially used to, Yeah.
Can I ask you one thing then? And it is more like technical or like visual aesthetics. Yeah, since there is a new one coming out, and there is the whole production in multiple series is going on for so long.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the aesthetics of the original or the first ones on the 80s and nowadays? How much has it changed?
I mean obviously obviously when you look at how like cell shading, for instance, was once like the pioneer of animating in general throughout the before the 21st century and to now, where all we have is using digital assets. But I mean, like, I guess I don't know, like, I guess at a time where like everything was like more, I guess how do you say more like plasticky? I don't know how to say it. Like it is like, I guess it's the more I argue, it's more cell shaded, obviously, and but obviously when you compare it to today, it's a lot more everything's more detailed. Like right now you essentially have mechs that are used like CG. Well, not to like full CG, because that will kind of like ruin the immersion a bit. But yeah, I would say like the studio behind the Gundam series, Sunrise, they have done like a massive job in terms of production, and how they managed to like adapt to the current aesthetics of today's anime,
Okay.
And yeah, so I would say, like, because obviously like Gundam is a franchise that is so big, like many other generations later on, watch, let's say you were growing up in the 90s and you watched like a series called Gundam Wing, for instance. That was pretty much like their entry level into Gundam series as a whole. Whereas in the 2000s, you got 777.
Do I need to go back to the beginning, or can I start for?
Well, no. Okay. But here's the thing. So there are two types of like Gundam series. So there's one that's set in the Universal Century timeline, and then there's like some series that are
Spin-offs.
Well, yeah. But they pretty much in their own universe, that sort of thing. Yeah. So you don't. So you could basically just start with whatever you like, just as long as it's not entirely set.
One is McDonald's, like from the main company. The other one are just franchising.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, they're all still pretty good, not gonna lie.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, the thing is, nowadays, it is kind of hard to like get into Gundam because of how so much series there are, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint which series is the best to start off from. I mean, most people would say just start off like, let's say like Double O, for instance, or hell, even the original, Gundam. But then again, if it doesn't like fit with the vibe of what you want to see in the one that pretty much pioneered the mecha genre as a whole, then yeah, I'm not sure if you'd be willing to go into its deep toes, and it's just
no,
like, yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, no, I know you're not gonna.
Too much information and too much things. We are overwhelmed in 2025 now. Yeah.
In terms of choice.
Yeah, it's too much. It is too much. We need to start to slim down the whole thing. I lost count of how many streaming services there are. If you pay for all of them, you basically you can buy food because you spend all your.
I mean, we don't need this many. Well, that's what
exactly. We
don't.
Something needs to happen.
Yeah, but like when you say that, there's gonna be pretty much like catch-22, because let's say like, for instance, there's a show that you really want to watch, but it's only available on like a certain streaming service, and it just sucks, really.
Exactly, that sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on. Aside from that, so what else? What other mecha series have?
Well, we have. Let me see. We go Daiton.
Daiton. Okay. Can you tell me what that's about?
They're always the same stuff.
Oh.
The one thing I remember more than anything else, obviously, 3 means that there are actually 3 people involved into it. So,
okay.
Because there is something that we didn't discuss. Yes, there are mecha series where actually the robot, is controlled by multiple people.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen that as well. Like Voltron, like of course you were gonna just say that. I mean, now that you say that, there was also remember when I mentioned SSS Gridband? Well, there was also like another like I wouldn't say. It's kind of like a semi-sequel to that, where, like you said, they have like multiple people controlling one big giant robot.
Exactly. So one is the head, one is the main torso, and the legs and the arms and things.
Yeah, pretty much that. But
actually, no. Usually, the main torso is the only part that it will arrive from somewhere else, and then you have because it is usually 3 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the Voltron probably is the one that I have more memory of it, and so basically. Each character, you have the head, arm right, left, and legs right and left.
Okay.
It is a bit of a silly thing, but if I remember correctly, then each robot it works independently. So
yeah, no, like Voltron.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. It's kind of hard for me to believe that, Voltron. I mean, okay, not gonna lie. So Voltron did came out as like a remake, but not as a reboot. But like, it wasn't necessarily like a strictly Japanese anime. It was actually made in America.
Oh.
And yeah, I know. But then, so I actually I believe I watched some of it. Like it was up to like the first season, and it wasn't bad. Like I had an enjoyable time. But then the further I was planning to go into it, the more I realized like the fandom that surrounds it was kind of a. Yeah, it was pretty toxic, because the thing is,
right.
Yeah, because the main problem with like the fandom that's surrounding the show was of how like obsessed it was, like like gay shipping.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's like remember I don't have that issue because I absorbed, I consumed it as a child with the innocence of a child, and so there were. I never had either interest or access to all of the information that we are talking about now.
You know, speaking of fandoms, like it is kind of, you know, like
It is a problem no, it's not a problem, but it's something that has become a reality in the 21st century.
I mean, yeah, no, it is, to me, it is kind of like silly how much, you know, fandoms there are that they, I mean, I get it, like you like there in some, like, you know, famous properties there always tend to be like fan bases around it, but it's always like seemed to get to the point where people are so obsessed with it that if any one mention of criticism, they're just instantly like, you know, launch at you like a tiger, for instance.
Yeah, I think there's more observation, let's call it like that, to the new generation, the crystal generation.
Yeah, but to be honest, like, I think is like to me, I don't really find any, you know, fandoms to be like worse than ones in anime, to be honest. And
Really?
yeah, no, okay, there are some like American cartoon fandoms that are worse, and like, but yeah, like,
But we are still talking about something that is not real.
well, yeah, I know exactly, and yeah, honestly, like, just like, I mean, yeah, just God, like. You would not believe like the amount of, like, you know, cringe that can be in some fandoms. Like, for example, like Dragon Ball, like, it's basically just full of, like, you know, hyped up, you know, people who just who are always, you know, like, so hyper, like, not hyperventilating, but like so hyper fixated on, like, you know, the strength of, like, the main character, like, where to the point, like, there's like this whole meme, like, there's like this whole meme of like, but can he beat Goku though?
Okay, probably you don't know that, but that kind of fandom, is quite popular in sport fans.
Well, yeah, I know. It's the same everywhere.
Yeah, it's the same everywhere. So, or car people, they will be the same. Or because I love this brand, he loves the other brand, and my one is got one extra horsepower, or the other one. Or it's so funny when you listen to people that talk about football. We won, we lose. You didn't do shit. You were sitting on the sofa watching on TV.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, generally, I would say, like, you know, most people who tend to, you know, like, consume or, like, you know, otherwise get into, you know, hobbies, like, you know, they're pretty chill people most of the time. It's also, but of course, when you look at, like, you know, the very loud, the problem with most fandoms is that there's always, like, a very loud minority who wants to get the most attention possible, and that, to me, expresses just how terminally online they are. Do you know what terminally online means?
No, but I can understand from what you're saying. So they basically spend all their life online, and instead of going out to meet with friends,
instead of touching grass.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and to me, like, as a weeb myself, I do tend to divulge into my hobbies a lot, as you might have guessed otherwise. But yeah, I'm also aware of myself as a person that, even though I do tend to spend a lot of my time on the internet, but I never really get to the point where I tend to, you know, hyper fixate on, like, just this one thing and that, because I want to, you know, how do I expand myself, expand my horizons.
But okay, we are not gonna dwell on that, but there's an indication of someone with an intellect that is allowing it to experience more things, instead of just being fixated in one thing and then the rest, and it is the end of the brain capacity.
And that's kind of part of the reason why, you know, I started my YouTube channel, so that way I can, you know, divulge more into, you know, what other stuff,
gonna be the new messiah,
or the new biggest AniTuber, for instance. Which, I mean, okay, not gonna lie, the AniTube sphere is kind of in a dying light as of now. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say there's like a whole lot of demand for it at the moment, but most of the time when you compare it to like, let's say, like film YouTubers, for instance, like I guess you could say their critical intellect is a bit less on the lower side when you compare it to, like, you know people that make video essays on, like, film, because again, it's just not, like, most of the time they tend to spout bullshit, which is something that
the internet is full of it.
I mean, yeah, but it tends to be, like, you know, full of it from anime YouTubers, which is why I don't want to personally, you know, fit in with that. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that
I don't want to be drugged with you as well.
Yeah, no. Okay, I'm not not saying that not all of them are like this, but I do understand, like, critically, like, how some of the how like a certain anime tend to, resonate with a certain audience, etc. But obviously, when I want to put my own input into this, it has to be like both on an objective sounding trait and also on a subjective one. But I mean, yeah, and that, I think that's obvious, and I think that's like you get like a perfect balance ratio of how to form an opinion nowadays.
I think you're losing the audience now. You're going on and on and on.
Okay,
let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to something else. So, have anything else?
I actually do have anything, and once again, I like to remember how deep the culture of the anime, Japanese anime in Italy is, because in 2015 there was actually a film made, and it was actually called Jig Robot.
Oh wow!
Yeah?
Was it made in Italy? Or?
It was made in Italy, but it's not about anime. Okay,
It's a live action version.
No. It's a film. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
it was inspired.
It was inspired because even today, after like 40 years or maybe even 50, the idea of Jig as a strength and someone that defends humanity is still exists. So in 2015, there was made a film, and it's a really simple plot. Basically, someone. He fell into the Tiber River in Rome, and where someone has actually dropped some chemical barrels,
chemical barrels,
and waste, chemical waste, and basically start having superpowers.
Okay.
But it's using it to defend the people.
Isn't that like a superhero's origin story?
Yeah, it is exactly superhero origin stories, but because of the not fandom, the deep cultural influence, people in the street, they start calling me Jig.
Damn.
Jig the robot. Oh, yeah, his strength is like Jig the robot. Jig.
And now that I think about it, I do wonder, like, what the significance of, like, anime popularity is like over in Italy, because obviously when you think of Italy, like, you would not really tend to think of anime in general as like a popular thing there. You tend to think of it's more cultural traditions, like the food, for instance, and
the arts and everything. But what is? Because I think it's something that you don't see. It's like, okay, everything you know about Italian culture, it is something that you can look, but you
sightseeing.
Yeah, sightseeing. But what people do in their homes, you don't experience that when you go on holiday in Italy.
Like that makes sense pretty much everywhere else.
Exactly, it's the same thing. Yeah.
But I feel like when you tend to describe, what anime was like back then, and even though I know a couple of people from Italy that is a huge fan of anime, and I'm just kind of curious into how significant, like, the influence of how anime has gone over Italy even today, and perhaps even more so than, like, the UK, for instance.
Yeah, definitely more than the UK. The UK animation, there's always been a great connection between United States of America and UK culturally, even if they like to dig at each other, but they consume each other products.
Like Doctor Who is always like
exactly, or Downton Abbey. American Love there, or Bridgerton. Yeah. So there is a continuous.
Do you know any Americans watching, like, the EastEnders?
No, okay, because it's very. I don't know.
It's way too British for that. Like,
it's too depressive. No, it's nothing about Britishness. It's just depressive.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. America, they don't like to watch depressing, but
I mean, to be fair, most of British shows tend to be depressing.
Yeah, but look at how many British shows are becoming even bigger in the United States.
Yeah.
But all genre, even like The Office.
Like the UK version. Or...
Shameless, another one. Yeah, so there is a continuous interchange of cultural references. Yeah, and it's the same thing even in the animation. Yeah. So here in Britain is a lot of animation that is really child friendly.
Okay.
Yeah, and well, obviously we got Disney in United States.
Yeah.
So and that's the two things that they keep crossing culturally between.
So this goes back to the correlates back to the question I want to ask you. What do you think is like the anime like trading significance between like Italian and Japanese? Because
I don't think there is a single answer. Yeah. There are
it's not
two.
that publicly known.
No, and also there are two cultures that are really different, but at the same time, they have so many things in common.
I mean, yeah. Now that I think about it, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with the fact that they were allies in the World War II, but I'm not sure if that's.
I don't think I think it goes deeper than that. Look, there are two cultures that are really old. First of all, yeah. They have part of their cultural references. They are not the same, but they are similar. Like, I'm not gonna say that the food is the same, but the obsession with the food is the same.
I mean, yeah,
and
also I guess like how like even like back in the ancient times, like Roman and the
empire idea.
Yeah.
And also people probably don't know this, but the the pyramid composition in the society is everybody knows that in Japan is really strong, but in Italy as well.
I see.
Okay, so the boss is still the boss, and then all of the levels below, they are well separated.
I mean, the only difference is that Italians don't really overwork their employees.
Yeah, that's the only difference, but that's probably a different item.
I mean, yeah, no, we're just talking about like going like to more like work culture.
For someone in Britain, yes, in the office, yes, you do have a boss, yeah.
Okay.
But most of the time, it doesn't have like a separate office on the top floor. There is the size of a penthouse. Yeah.
Like America. For instance.
Or like America. Most of the time you're gonna be a open office, and you probably see the boss is sitting in another desk exactly like yours.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't like roles. I guess you could say like office management doesn't really matter. Like it's just as long as you get shit done.
Exactly, but in Italy is a lot more structural, like in Japan.
Okay. Okay, I feel like we're going off topic like by a whole lot. I mean, it is kind of difficult to like because the thing is while there are many like popular mecha series out there, it's kind of hard to dilute the sheer impact of what they are like, and I mean, and not to mention the fact that its other like siblings, like I said, the shonen genre is way more dominant in like popularity alone.
They do have one thing in common: they're always fighting against evil.
I mean, yeah, sure. Like, I mean, okay. To be fair, I guess like you can kind of say that apply it to every single thing. Like that is like a hero story, for instance. Yeah, but then again, I mean, okay. The thing is, the main difference between like obviously in terms of like the spectacle, you have giant robots and you have like just two people fighting beating the shit out of each other. I mean, yeah, like to me, the main difference is how it lies in its combat, because like I said, one of the pinnacles of like shonen anime is how they integrate like like the fighting mechanics of like their power system, whereas in mecha it's more just like an inner inner turmoil within between the protagonist and like the antagonist, like it's more like emotion above like technicality, if you know what I mean.
It is. I know exactly what you mean, because it's like going back to the point that we were saying before, that the two different kind of the mecha, the one that you are just controlling like mechanically the robot, and the one that you are part of it. Okay. In Jig, when you are attacked, like for example an electric shock, it is understandable that the human inside it will be in pain.
It will be electrified.
Or in Goldrake, or in Mazinger, Yeah, if Goldrake lose a limb, why is the person in control or in pain? There is no physical connection.
I mean, yeah, no, actually, now you said that, that also applies to Evangelion. Even though, okay, like I said, Evangelion is kind of like a blend between the two, but yeah.
It's like you're driving your car and you get too close to the curb and your tire blows off. Yeah,
and then you want, before you know, your foot heel like also breaks.
Exactly. No part of your body is gonna be in pain. You're probably gonna be stressed because you were running late or because you don't have the money to pay for a new tire, but physically you're okay.
Well, I understand that, but I think that's kind of part of the reason why some people tend to prefer like mecha, like original, like straightforward mecha, like Gundam, because like when like, I guess, for example, when you see like a super robot and you get to watch like a person have their own body like in nerves shocked out from their, even though they weren't, like you said, they weren't physically harmed or anything, it just kind of like brings in kind of an unnerved feeling from and I think that's kind of part of the reason why the super robot, while not like antithetically like died out completely, but yeah, it still kind of does remains as like in the proper mecha like shadow of.
I think nowadays if there was a revival of mecha, the more appropriate way to do it, it will be with
exoskeletons.
Yeah. So meaning that basically the movement of the person, it will control the robot. So there is a more direct connection.
I think that idea has already been made before. I think it was like.
Of course it's been made.
Well, no, I mean like, like in an anime, like I think Gundam also tackled that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like I mean like. I guess nowadays, it is kind of hard to, it's kind of hard being a mecha anime fan, because obviously, like you don't really tend to get like a lot of shows that center around that.
Actually, before I forget, there was also another one. There was not a strictly animation, and it was not live action either, or it was something mixed behind, maybe the same technology that they used to do the Godzilla. Yeah, and it was no, they used to, not nowadays, and it was a Megaloman.
Oh, okay, no.
So basically, let's put it this way: Power Rangers. Okay. Yeah, is a modern version of that.
Oh, you mean? Oh, I know what you mean. Oh, okay, no, you mean like when like you have like a guy in a costume that acts out as the.
Why was still like a mecha?
Okay, I see what you mean now. Oh, okay, I think we're going into
Megaloman and then Super Megaloman.
I think at this point we're just going into like less into like mecha, but more into Super Sentai, like a tokusatsu kind of vibe, because like. I'm not gonna lie, I think tokusatsu. Do you know what tokusatsu means, right?
No, but I can, for what we are talking about, I can deduct it.
Okay, yeah. So tokusatsu is essentially, it's kind of like, so it's basically the Japanese equivalent of a superhero, basically. Okay. Yeah, like because Power Rangers, for instance, they originated from Japan. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and
Mega Man was before Power Rangers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we are talking the 70s here.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess like the whole tokusatsu thing is like it's not like strictly an anime; it's always in live action. Yeah. So, but obviously, I mean. I personally have never seen like a tokusatsu series myself, because obviously when it's in live action, I just kind of
even when I was a child, it looked like shit to me.
I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, yeah, like it every time whenever you watch one of these like these old tokusatsu, like you tend to think of like, God, like this is just amateur hour.
But probably there's the idea.
I mean, yeah,
there's no thing. Well, anyway. So. I was going to do something different today.
Really?
But I think we already ran out of time, so I'm not going to do it.
Okay, spoilers. Okay, he was actually going to sing an opening title, but I mean...
And I'm a really crap singer. So, but the opening title of Jig is so great, but we are going to keep it... Maybe we should do another episode,
okay,
where we're going to do... lot of opening titles.
I mean, who knows? Like, do you think
we need to find out.
How much do you think it will like sing until we get copyright claimed?
No idea. I didn't even know that you cannot even sing yourself.
I mean, like, there are covers that actually did go copyright claimed.
Really?
I mean, yeah, but okay, well, we'll see to it when we get to it.
Exactly.
Okay, well, in any case, I think today wraps up our episode. So this is Migs.
And this is Phil, and he's been great today.
Okay, and so thank you for listening to the end if you're actually there. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.